this evening. I've currently got the Scotland game on. It's 11 minutes in, and Scotland are actually winning. I never seen the goal because I switched it on about a minute ago, and Scotland were already winning. Poland have a bit of a height advantage coming in with a corner here against the small Scottish players. I don't know what size the stadium's in. Corner comes in. Scotland get it away. Anyway, that's enough about Scotland. Let's jump into the live comments section and see who's all in the house. Because it's been 4 days. Yes, 4 days since we've done a live. It's been 4 days since we've done a live. I did nip back to nice, warm, lovely Scotland. It's absolutely freezing. Let's see who is all in the building first of all. So I'm not expecting too many people in tonight, so it's all good. Stephen Johnston, did you get the message about... I've not been back online, sorry. But Stephen, if you got the message, check the community tab, and it's got an email address. Give me an email, mate. Give me an email, and we'll speak about what you told me the other day, Saturday morning, when I was just jumping on the flight. When I read your message and then deleted it, because I didn't want other people to see it. I was just about to board the plane, and I got it just in time. But anyway, give me a little email, mate, and then we can see what we can help you with. Anyway, Liam Miles in the house. Paul McEwen's in the house. Afternoon, hello Celtic men and women. Kieran Brady's in the house. Evening everyone. And Baz from a cold and frosty in South Derry. It was cold and frosty when I left Scotland this morning. It was -2. I've got to say, it was Baltico. Tam Max in the house. Kaz is in the house. Joseph Davidson's in the house. Gemma's in the house. Anyone watching the Scotland game or listening to it? I've got the Scotland game on. I missed the goal, but I've got the Scotland game on. Craig Gordon's in goals. God, that's how bad they are. I think Scotland could get relegated tonight, can't they? Get relegated and not get the... I don't know what that means. Does anyone watch the Nations Cup? I don't. Anyway, Joseph said it's 1-0. McGinn, great. It's all we need, isn't it? McGinn scoring another goal and getting his tally up. But let's see what he can do against Celtic in a couple of months' time. So Gemma's in the house. Joseph Davis in the house. Jim F is in the house. Terry's in the house, coming from North London. It's been quiet for a few days. Yes, it would have been quiet for a few days. I tell you one thing, it's probably the longest time. There was obviously videos that went out, and there was pre-recorded stuff that I'd knocked together last Thursday. So thanks to everyone that has watched the videos over the weekend. It's just to help the channel ticking over. But it was good to have a break, actually. I don't usually have a break for as long. I usually take the laptop home with me, as you know, and I'll usually do some videos at home. But I thought, no, I'm going to have 2 days completely off from it over the weekend, which is good. It's all good. Now back firing, ready to go, as they say. Multitasking here, says Gemma. Football and Baz on in the Chromebook, even better. Mr. Quinn's in the house. Stephen Johnson's in the house. Jim F. Gemma and Kaiser. 100 correct Baz. Engels is a chance. There's no use flogging the dead horse. Let's assist the Huns and whipping him to death. Support our players 100%. It was a couple of stories. I'm going to go into it in a minute. There's a few stories that I've seen about Celtic this afternoon that I think are worthy of talking about tonight, whilst we have the Scotland game on in the background. Because let's face it, the map's just frozen. Great. That's back. Because, I mean, watching Scotland is like watching paint dry sometimes, isn't it? Anyway, who cares? Lorna Gallagher's in the house. Tam Mack is in the house. Christopher's in the house. Dave Morton is in the house. And Stephen Johnson. Jim McClarty is in the house. Asking Stephen if he's good. A lot of people saying hi to Stephen. I'm going to jump right through. Michael Ross is in the house. Big Des in the house. Baz, we should have met up next time you're heading the Brazen Head. Des, I was in and out quicker than you could say hello. I was in for a special birthday party. Yes, I was in for a special birthday. All the legends in the house is saying Kaiser. Christopher's in the house, coming in from France. Anthony Dalmore is in the house also. And I'm just going to jump through to because there's absolute hundreds. Baz, when Macario comes, I'll get to do it. So, yeah, perfect, Stephen. Just get to do that. Get to drop you a little email and just see if there's anything that we could do to help you out, mate. That's really it. Celtic Supporters Podcast is in the house. The Celtic Supporters Podcast Weekender for the Cano Foundation, the 5th to the 8th of December. There you go. Just brazenly come on and just... It's all good, mate. It's all good. So that is the 5th to the 8th of December. I'm sure we'll get plenty of people on that. Kaiser is watching Scotland like watching grass grow in the winter. Funnily enough, you have to cut your grass here in the winter, Kaiser, so depends where you are. But I know what you mean in Scotland. Anyway, Joseph, keep up our info. I'm patiently waiting on Scotland game. On reviving. Riveting. Anyway, right, the first bit of news I want to talk about is Arne Engels. Yeah, Arne Engels has been getting a lot of stick, and not only from the media in his home country, right? I mean, I'm all for media in their home countries giving players stick when it comes to international duty and as such. But when Celtic media jump on the bandwagon and start berating our own players at international level, and you've got to remember, if this was a Celtic player that came through, could you imagine the Celtic media if you say a young Kieran Tierney had a really bad game for Scotland when he was just young? Do you think that the Celtic media would have jumped on it as much and sort of having a go? That was a bit of a dive for the... Did he touch him? Anyway, do you think that the Celtic media would have had a go at Kieran Tierney at a young age, at 20-year-old, if he'd had a bad game for Portugal? And I just think that if we at Celtic really want to nurture our youth, right? And I'm thinking this because this is going to lead on to the next story, if you like. No, not the next story, but the Daniel Cummins story, which comes in 2 stories' time. But when we look at young Arne Engels, and he's a young player. And if we want our young players to progress at Celtic and to stay at Celtic and feel wanted and nourished at Celtic, and especially the Celtic media have got a lot to do with that and how our players are portrayed to the wider audience, the wider public, because they take a lot of their information from the mainstream media. And to basically say that Arne Engels is shite, which he's not, he's only 21-year-old. He's a kid. And I think if we want to encourage players to come through our youth system at Celtic, yeah, you see how good I'm doing this one tonight? If we want to encourage our youth system our young players to come through, they need to feel that it's an environment that they feel wanted, not just by the fans, but also the fan media, right? And fan media has a lot to say. Fan media can turn on players like that. I've seen some fan medias, and they'll turn on a player, and within a day or so, the whole of fucking Twitter, the land of Twitter, is then having a dig at a Celtic player. And, it becomes the narrative, if you like. But anyway, I just think if we want our players to feel safe in the environment that they're working in, and if we want them to progress, I think that we need to protect them sometimes. And I think that ultimately fan media need to do that a little bit and give him just a little bit of, he's just a young player. And so what if he had a bad game for his international country? As long as he comes back to Celtic uninjured, and we can nurture him again and make him a better player. And ultimately, if we make him a better player, he goes on to be a better player for his international team. He becomes a better player for Celtic in the Champions League. It means that we're then get more money for him, and ultimately we can sell him for more money in years to come. And that's where I'm going with that one. Now, I want to before I talk about Daniel Cummins, there's been a lot of speculation. Yes, and it's pure speculation, because I don't even know if Brendan Rodgers is at Celtic today, this afternoon. I don't know if he's still on holiday. He might be sunning it in Mallorca right now, for all we know. There's no evidence of this story. It's all just pure speculation, but we'll talk about it in a minute. But before that, we want to talk about Alistair Johnston. Yes, because there's news coming out of Canada. The emergence of Alistair Johnston is proof that there are rough diamonds in men's soccer in Canada. Alistair Johnston sat in the Toronto hotel lobby on Sunday and a little bleary-eyed from a 7-hour flight home, and he earned his 50th cap for Canada and won a 1-0 game. 26-year-old has made a surprising arrival on the soccer scene. In 2019, he was playing college soccer in Wake Forest, spending the summer. 5 years later, he's a principal actor in the Canadians' Men Return of Form and recently captained the Scottish giant club Celtic. Who writes these nonsense articles, I tell you. It's just great when a non-football person obviously writes the article. And it's a perfect day for Alistair Johnston, he said, from the afternoon with the armband of the 3-0 win over Motherwell, which he scored for good measure. And then the outpouring of love and support I got from Celtic fans back here. It's such an important and special thing. In Europe, most future stars sign contracts when they're as young as 8. The same is becoming true in Canada, where virtually the youth team picks the major soccer league now. Johnston says, "We are proof there was never a silver spoon given to me. I just love the sport. When you love something, you have to work hard at it, and you do the right things. You'll get the opportunities," Alistair Johnston says. "People will see you. It doesn't really matter where you are." And that's Alistair Johnston talking up. And Carly's been a member for 4 months. That's it. We're starting to get the notifications coming in on the chat that Carly's been a member for 4 months. If you haven't a member, this is why you want to be a member, because you'll start getting these notifications on the chat. God, Scotland were lucky there, weren't they? Scotland will get beaten, get relegated. Just know the one. But anyway, it was all good about Alistair Johnston. Right, fag time, lol, says Mr. Quinn. AJ's at Celtic for life, says Big Des. Kaiser says AJ's quality. Love listening to him. I'm going to call him AJ Talk a lot. Because could you imagine him being captain? It would be fantastic. You would need to go out about 15 minutes before a game. The players would be like, Ali, we're starting to get cold. Really, it's -5 out here. It's like, come on, Ali, we know you can talk, speed up a bit. Actually, could just be brilliant. But anyway, it is 1-0 to Scotland, says Paul McEwen. Yes, we are watching that. But Poland are, God, it even looks cold in Poland, doesn't it? AJ is my favourite, says Carly. You just know this. No, he's not. Brendan's your favourite. You cheating on Brendan, Carly. But anyway, as you see, Carly, a lot of notifications would come up that Carly's been a member for 4 months. This is when the chat thing comes into its own. So, yes. So what do you think about Alistair Johnston and the fact that he doesn't come from a traditional football background? Give me one word that you would describe Alistair Johnston with in the comments. I'll start it off. Fighter. Alistair Johnston is class. I'll start. Give me one word in the comments. There's not many people on because of the Scotland games on, but I've put him in as a fighter. He's a warrior. I should have put warrior because Alistair Johnston's book would be longer than a war piece. Alistair Johnston's book would have to come in 3 parts. It would have to come. This is going to be a goal. Oh, Scotland were lucky there. Class, says Lorna Gallagher. Dynamo, says Kaiser. Solid, says Mr. Quinn. Talent. Which way are you thinking? Talent, no, Gemma. AJ, intensity, gritty. Gritty, says GT Boy. Tim says intensity. He does have, I just think that I think warrior would be a good thing. You all know how I feel about Brendan. I love it. Solid, says Big Dash. Yes, I think he is solid. We'll talk about the Scotland are a bit under the cosh here. Blah, blah, blah. It's not a Rangers podcast, Andrew. Tough, says Joseph Davidson. That's great. Unit, says Carly. Hail, Baz and the boys and girls from Belfast, says Mr. Toner. Goon, says Kaiser. Kermit, as in Kermit the Frog. Fearless, says Sereres. Determined. Powerhouse. I think it's all words that we could use. And if I was doing a blog, I'd probably take all those and put them into ChatGPT and say use all of the above to then describe Alistair Johnston's time at Celtic and list all those words and see what it spat out, and it'll probably give you a fantastic blog. Then you'd have to then run through an AI humanizer to make sure it looked like it was human written, and then you'd stick up on a website. But anyway, Dan Cassie says I would say that it's going to be my favourite 1-3 score on Saturday. We're not even talking about Saturday yet. Like a hockey movie. Yep, Hunskelper. Yeah, there we go, Hunskelper. And see, Carly has got her latest badge up. And there comes... I mean, Scotland defend well. If my stream would... Ice hockey. hard man Canadian, but he's not really he's not a hard man, is he? He's not a Vinnie Jones type player. You know, he's not got that. But, oh yeah, he is, isn't he? He can sometimes. Scotland are completely just camped in on their own box. Oofed. There's a goal coming for Poland, I'm sorry to say, but I could see a goal coming. Poland aren't going to have shots like this and let Scotland win this, that's for sure. A fighter, AJ sticks to task. He does that. Kaiser says, what is it in hockey? An enforcer, Baz? I thought, yeah, an enforcer. Is he the Celtic enforcer? See, when I think Celtic enforcer, I think a Bobo Baldi. Do you know, a Chris Sutton up front. Chris Sutton with his little wee arse nudges to get other players to push him. A John Hartson. Do you know? I don't know. Shush, Baz, says Lorna. What for? He's becoming the most popular. Is that the Mountie? Aye. Anyway, my stream keeps on hanging for the football. Anyway, I want to talk about Daniel Cummins, because I'm only staying on for half an hour. I'm going to let you. I'll allow you to go and watch the Scotland game. I didn't realise Scotland was on, to be honest, when I said that. I can remember people talking about it, and I just forgot all about it, or I wouldn't have put the live on for 9 o'clock. AJ is an enforcer like Kieran Tierney. I don't think he's like Kieran Tierney, because Kieran Tierney had that love for the club that comes with growing up with the club and coming through the ranks at the club. I think Alistair Johnston wants to prove that he can be the best of the best. And although Kieran Tierney went for big money and tried to do it, I think Alistair Johnston has the potential to go on and have a better career than Kieran Tierney. That's just my take on it and what I see coming from Alistair Johnston. And I mean, they must be about the same age. Did anyone see Neil Lennon pick a player video? It was class. No, I didn't. No watching that pish. It is absolutely wash, isn't it? But anyway, right, we need to talk about Daniel Kelly. I did a video last week talking about Daniel Kelly and how it's imperative that Celtic tie down Daniel Cummins on a big lengthy contract, and we start integrating him into the B team, into the A team from the B team. And there's a couple of Twitter accounts and everything put out today that prolific young striker Daniel Cummins is set to train with the club's first team next week. That'll be this week, not next week. That'll be today, because today's Monday, so it's not. I don't know when these articles were written, but yeah, they were written yesterday. So there was people talking about it online, but how anybody would know that on a Sunday when Brendan Rodgers is certainly not on the training pitch? I mean, unless young Cummins is told all his mates, and then his mates has went out and told some of the Celtic media guys. I don't know, but. We'll wait and see. I don't think Engels was good enough to force Bernardo onto the bench like Kuhn has been coming onto his game now. If we spend the money on Bernardo and drop to the bench to justify the spend, says Kevin. Listen, AJ was a higher ceiling of interest, but as I would agree, I think so, Kaiser. I think that Alistair Johnston will go to, and this is no disrespect to Arsenal. Yeah, it's Arsenal are shite. Then we're never going to win anything. But I think Alistair Johnston will go to a team that is going to be either up there in the Champions League on a regular basis. He's going to go to a team that he's not going to drop down. He's not going to be a player that will want to drop down to a team that is not going to be in the Champions League. So he's either going to go to England, Germany, or Spain. He'll go to one of those top 3 leagues, but it'll be a team that regularly plays in the Champions League. Alistair Johnston is not going to settle for going down to England just to make a few quid. You know, I just don't see him as that type of player. I think he would rather stay at Celtic and be in the Champions League. That's just my take on it. But then what do I know? I just talk about Celtic on the YouTube. It'll all come good for Engels. I think it'll come good for Arne Engels. I think Daniel Cummins would say Idols looks unfit. Do you think that Adam Eder looks unfit? How does he look unfit after he had his little ankle turn? But anyway, Daniel Cummins, there's a lot of people online saying that after netting 20 goals across 18 appearances in all competitions for the B team, that he's currently away on international duty with under-19s. No idea how they got on. But it says when he comes back to training at Celtic, he will be integrated into Lennoxtown next week with the first team. At just 18-year-old, he will hope to impress Brendan Rodgers, and then it goes on to go on about Daniel Kelly, Rocco Vata, and then talk about Mitchell Frame and Francis Turley. I think that Francis Turley would have to be a bit, his nose would have to be out of joint if he did manage to force his way into the first team even on the bench. But it then comes down to the situation is who do you drop from the bench? And this is what I spoke about in the video last week. If you've got a fantastic player like Daniel Cummins, right, you're going to have to drop a midfielder from the bench. And it's then a case of Brendan Rodgers has got a massive decision to make, because he generally goes with two wingers, he'll go with two defenders, and he'll then put the rest as midfielders in the team, and the subs, with Adam Ida or Kyogo, depending on which one's playing. Is he going to rest up Adam Ida? Is he going to rest up Kyogo for games and bring in Daniel Cummins? Can he afford the luxury of doing so as Celtic manager? With every game, a must-win game. And next up is Hearts of Midlothian, the Hearts, who are sitting way down the bottom of the table. I'm going to get the table up, actually. Get the SPFL table up there. And yeah, because we see that Aberdeen are just right behind us, Rangers are way behind. Dundee United and Motherwell are chasing down the Rangers, and hopefully they will overtake them in points and goals in the next couple of weeks. Scotland about scoring. I take it Scotland have got a playoff position if they don't get relegated tonight then. Who cares, to be fair. I never watched international football. But anyway, we're talking about Celtic, the fixtures coming up. We've got Hearts, obviously, this weekend, which is a 6:45 kickoff on Saturday. Yep, another late one on Saturday. And then we have Club Brugge at Celtic Park. And then we have Ross County to finish off November. So even though that we're sitting on the 18th of November just now, the time that we get back to Celtic Park, it will be Club Brugge on the Wednesday night, an 8 o'clock kickoff. And then Ross County, a 3 o'clock kickoff on the Saturday, the 30th of November. So there is some important games coming up. Obviously, the Hearts one. Hearts, that's the only game of the season that Hearts turn up. Lorna, she says she cares about Scotland. I'm just reading some of the comments. It's not just for Celtic. We need to give him time and see what happens. Hopefully he becomes a good player. Talking about Lubo all day. Sorry, I'm missing out some of the comments. Carly says, when Alistair Johnston is offered 40 grand a week, he'll be off. And hopefully, it won't be for a few years. Because if we start selling any of our players next summer, I fear for the future of Brendan Rodgers. And I will be honest about that. I think if we sell any of our top players next summer, what does that say to the manager? What does that say to Brendan? It says to him once again, as Scotland are on the attack here, it says to Brendan Rodgers once again that this board are not going to facilitate his ambitions. And they let him spend £11 million on a player and £9 million on Adam Ida. And we've done okay in the Champions League so far. If we go on to do even better, and if we manage to get through to the last 16, say, or even getting through to the playoff position, which would be a fantastic achievement for Celtic, if we manage to get through to the playoff positions. But if we start selling Alistair Johnston, if we sell any other, players, what does it say to the manager? Do you know, if we sell Kuhn, there's 3 players that could potentially have bids come in next summer. One of them is Nico Kuhn, one of them is Rio Hatate, and then Scotland have got a chance? Oh, no chance. So you've got Nico Kuhn, Rio Hatate, and Alistair Johnston. Those are the 3 big assets that we have at Celtic just now, and I think everyone would agree with that. And drink along this weekend, Kaiser. You're finally doing the drink along on your own channel, Kaiser. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I think if we do sell any of those players, what does it say to the manager? And I think that it would be a difficult summer for Celtic. Anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up because everyone's jumping off to watch the Scotland game. And I'll catch up with you first thing tomorrow morning, and then there'll be a live tomorrow night. Hopefully there's no decent football on, and we can get back to talking about Celtic. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. Celtic